Claude for SEO is a really widely spoken about topic these days. It's super popular on YouTube and Reddit. And I just wanted to talk through some actual use cases that I personally rely on Claude for and some other LLMs in my SEO workflow, because I think there's a lot of noise about AI doing your entire SEO for you. And that really couldn't be farther from the truth. I don't ever recommend having AI jump in and just automate your entire content engine and your entire SEO process from A to Z. I think you're going to run into a lot of issues that way long term by doing that. But I think there are ways where you can leverage the power of AI into your existing processes and workflows with, of course, that layer of expertise that you personally have cloaked over all that. And so these are some tools that I think genuinely fit into a healthy and more sustainable process than what a lot of people are promoting out there. And the idea is to help you keep your website in good standing for the long run. It's not to get you a quick win or a quick spike in traffic, only to see that immediate dive right afterwards. So here are my favorite use cases for specifically Claude, but it could be really any LLM that you could plug this stuff into. So number one, I use Claude for really basic wireframing. Now, I'm not talking about full-on design projects. I'm not talking about Figma level designs or final design outputs. I'm talking about the initial wireframes that I can then hand over to a designer and give them a much better sense of what we're looking for, rather than having to articulate all of this through a Slack channel or through email. And it just ends up taking a very long time to get exactly what you need. Whereas I can jump into Claude Design and I can create a wireframe within a few minutes based on my specific parameters. And it'll look decent enough. It's not going to be a final product, but it's not meant to be. It's really just to get the ball rolling and hand it over to a graphic designer to put their expertise and their creativity on it and ultimately complete the project. But I've found that by doing this, clients are really happy with it because it gets pages made a lot faster. Like if we're trying to build a landing page and we're trying to improve, or we're trying to improve an existing page for CRO or something like that, it's much faster to do it this way. Hand it to the client, get their quick approval, and then boom, over to the designer, have them create the actual design for the page, and then we're on our way. I think this is great for agency folks who are juggling a lot of design requests and they want to speed up that handoff without cutting your designer out of the process completely, which you shouldn't, of course. This is a good way. Let's say that you're creating 10 or more pages, 10 or more new landing pages for a website during a sprint. It used to be unheard of to be able to do this in a relatively short amount of time. But now with these tools like Claude Design, I can mock up these pages a lot faster. And yeah, I know there's tools like Lovable and other design tools, wireframing tools like that. But the beauty of Claude Design is, of course, it comes with your Claude subscription. And you can use Sonnet as the model. Honestly, Sonnet works perfectly well for these wireframes. I'm not doing anything overly fancy stylistically. So Claude Design with Sonnet is the way to go, in my opinion. Now, one of the real superhero powers of these LLMs, especially with Claude, is the MCP capabilities. And MCP is multi-context protocol. It's a fancy way to say, I want to plug in third-party tools into my Claude and have them communicate with each other, if that makes sense. So one great use case for this would be DataForSEO, which is a pretty affordable API that's full of powerful SEO information. You can pull ranking numbers, search volume, current rankings, CPC, and you can plug it into Claude Code, whatever you're using, and you can extract that high-level research information a lot faster than it might take you to jump into an Ahrefs or a SEMrush and iterate that way. I find that I personally enjoy going into Claude Code, doing the speech to text, and just saying, hey, I'm looking to start a keyword research process around this seed keyword, this target keyword, or for this page. What is this page's current rankings? Find some relevant secondary keywords that would work for this page as well. And it's able to give me a pretty extensive list that's usually within the ballpark of what I'm looking for. Now, again, I'm not saying have it do your entire keyword research for you. I'm saying get the ball rolling, get the process started. Then you jump in, you iterate, you go back and forth with Claude and DataForSEO, and you say, okay, this looks good. Let's find this. Let's niche down. Let's find keywords that are more relevant to our ICPs, right? Our customer protocols, because that's super important, obviously, from a business standpoint. And then I go in and I see, okay, are these good options? Are they not? And then I kind of piece it together like that. If you just let your LLM pick the keywords on its own, I'm talking about without any MCPs, without any APIs plugged in whatsoever, it will hand you a list of terms that might sound in the ballpark of what you're looking for, but there's a good chance it will completely miss that search intent, right? Giving the searcher actually what they want is really important for SEO and for GEO and AI search and all that nowadays. So I find that the combination of data for SEO, as well as my own expertise to kind of sort all that stuff out, is really a can't miss process now. Another area where LLMs and specifically Claude can be great for SEO is technical auditing. Now, when I say technical auditing, you have to be careful with it, like with anything. I'm not saying have it run an entire tech audit for you and identify all the problems with your website. It's not going to do an amazing job at that. It will find, some issues if you give it the right information. But what I like to use it for, and what it does a pretty good job at, is dissecting Screaming Frog crawls. So Screaming Frog, of course, is a website crawling platform, scrapes all the pages, all the HTML, CSS, JavaScript, images, anything you want from a website, basically. And from there, you're able to go through and dissect any errors, any issues, any strengths, and anything that you want, basically, from that website. And so what I've done is I built skills in Claude that can take Screaming Frog crawls, and it can help me speed up the process of identifying certain issues, right? Now, this is really the most useful, I would say, for larger websites like e-commerce stores where you have thousands of product pages. I need to identify things like missing meta descriptions across an entire category of pages or a bunch of collections pages or what have you. Then it can be very good for that purpose. But when it comes to dissecting really more granular issues like coding problems or some things that are a little bit below the surface, you still need that manual capability to jump in and diagnose those things on your own. But again, this is all these things that I'm mentioning here. It's all really just about getting the ball rolling, I should say, or getting the ball started, whatever expression you want to use. I don't know if that's a real thing or not. Same thing with the Claude design, same thing with the wireframes. It's just getting things moving down the field in the right direction. And then from there, you add your own layer of expertise and your team's layer of expertise, and you build on that. So getting those technical audits started, it's really, really impeccable for it. And also, kind of on that note as well, I wouldn't just hand it in an internal Screaming Frog crawl. I would really make sure that I'm isolating the specific crawls offered in Screaming Frog. So I would give it, in addition to the internal crawl, I would pull the Excel or the CSVs of all the title tags, meta descriptions, canonicals, response codes, all those different reports that you can export from Screaming Frog. I would do each one of those because you're going to get much more specific information for a Claude or an LLM or any LLM. If you just give it an internal crawl, it might be overwhelmed, it might get confused, it might miss things. So you just want to make sure that you're feeding it all the information that you need. But it does save time. It for sure saves time on that getting the process started phase of an audit, for sure. The next area that I'd use Claude for is a brand documentation. Now, this is hyper important now in the age of AI. People talk about AI slop a lot, and AI slop oftentimes is a result of the lack of brand awareness in content. Now, what do I mean by that? Specifically, speaking in your own brand voice, right? Citing case studies, citing specific instances that happened in and around your business, citing specific team members' experiences, quoting people, things that are much more on the proprietary side. That is highly valuable in this age of GEO and AEO and whatever you want to call it, and SEO, of course, as well. So by creating brand documentation, you're able to create project files that you can save into your LLMs, you can save in your Google Drive, you can save on your computer. And it's a way it's basically a reference documentation that you can always come back to that reminds you of specifics related to the brand that are super critical, right? In addition to brand voice, it could be like where the brand's located. If it's more of a local business type of angle, it can be specific target customers that the brand is hoping to reach, be specific products and services, things like that. But what I do is I'll feed all of the onboarding information from the client onboarding docs, all of the client's own words into an LLM, into Claude. And then I have skills built out around a brand knowledge base and then a brand voice, a target audience voice. And then from there, it creates docx files full of that brand information. It might even include reviews, quotes that it finds relevant, things like that. And this is a great repository of information that I can then later feed into all of my processes in dealing with the brand. So I can feed it into the audit process. I can feed it into the keyword research, which is great because with keyword research, you can tie in, okay, what are our goals let's match those to the keywords. And it's a much more seamless process in doing that when you have that brand documentation. Now, the next area are content outlines. Now, I said content outlines, not the final product of content, right? You got to be really careful with this. I think writing AI content as a final output, especially long form content, is very risky now at best. And again, you're just going to run into that realm of AI slop very quickly, because as good as AI is becoming, and it is getting better at writing content, but there's still something about it that just doesn't quite hit the mark, in my opinion. And I think Google's algorithm is getting wise to this very, very quickly. So you just don't want to risk it. But content outlines are a great place to use an AI workflow, because really all you have to do is you can go to your favorite keyword research tool. You can use DataForSEO, and you can pull the top competitor pages and find out what keywords they're targeting, what the secondary keywords are, figure out the whole kind of spectrum of what that page is about. And then you can sort of reverse engineer that, plug it into a Claude and say, give me an outline that's really in line with this, but then also adhere to your brand documentation. That's the key differentiator. And in order to make this content more unique and more specific to the brand. It gives you pretty good outlines that way, as long as you really define those guardrails and give it the brand information. And it can really speed up that content creation process a lot by doing that. Beyond that, I would still hand it to a human writer. But if you are using AI content for the writing, I would make sure to use a human editor after the fact, who kind of will have to rewrite a lot of it. Because what you need to do is you need to plug it into AI detection services. There's a lot out there. I like to use Originality, which is one of the strictest ones. And you have your editor go through and kind of rewrite it more or less, or reconfigure it so that it scores a lot better in those tools. Now, if you want to speed up your content outline and content creation process even further, I use a tool called PageOptimizer Pro. I've been using them now for about a decade. They have updated with the times quite well. They have features now for AI overview scraping. They have different ways that you can keep your page on par with, the top LLM results, so that you're making sure that you're not just optimizing for SEO, but you're also optimizing for the AI side of things as well. And I like to create kind of the base content briefs using PageOptimizer Pro, because it kind of does all that work for you that I described. It scrapes your competitors, finds the secondary keywords, all that stuff. And then I export that as an Excel sheet, plug it into my Claude skill for the content outline creation, and it's able to digest that and create a very defined content outline based on all those specific parameters, including word count specifications and all this stuff. So that's a way to kind of speed up that process even further. So I highly recommend that. There's a link in the description if you want to check it out. The next area where Claude can help out your SEO is Search Console gap analysis. Now, if you're dealing with a huge website like an e-com store, there's going to be thousands of pages and queries. I will frequently, and I'll do this on a regular basis, I'll export all the Search Console data, run it through my tools, and look for specific patterns, like pages getting impressions but no clicks, or queries that are showing up but they're not tied to any existing page. And from there, I decide whether that's a new page opportunity that we need to build, or an existing page that maybe just needs an optimization pass. The LLM can help me sort through that data faster, which matters a lot when you're dealing with a site that has years worth of queries, or it has, a lot of blogs that, maybe were written a long time ago, but they haven't been updated, and you're trying to figure out intent matching and all that. So that can speed up that process. Now, of course, there's still the layer of expertise I still have to go through. I still have to make sure that these are appropriate recommendations. If I get an Excel output from Claude, say, and it's telling me, oh, you need to build a new page around this term, oftentimes I'll find that's not the case. I'll do a little bit of research on my own and trust my instincts and see, well, no, it's really just about fine tuning this existing page for this keyword, because it's more of a secondary keyword. So there's a lot of judgment calls like that of course, you can't just plug this stuff in and let it run wild. But by virtue of that, I'm able to optimize pages a lot faster and make more timely decisions, if that makes sense. So the biggest positive of all this stuff is really speed. It's not so much the act of doing work for you or supplanting your expertise. It's really just helping improve your processes and add a layer of expediting to your processes, so that you're able to get things done faster for client work, for your own websites, what have you. You're basically compressing the traditional research and the setup time so you can spend more of your energy on the actual strategy and the actual targeting and fine tuning and quality control elements of an SEO campaign. And this is going to help you with traditional SEO. It's also going to help you with AEO and all the EOs in the future. Because I think the real benefit of these tools is leverage. It's not replacement. It's not putting your feet up on the desk while it does everything for you. It's helping experts leverage their time better so that they can exhibit more of their expertise, if that makes sense. So like always, I hope you found this interesting. Leave a comment, like, and subscribe even. That'd be great. And we'll see you in the next one. Peace.